went to see Drake in the studio in Toronto. He just said, like, yo, I want to play you this record. And it was the 40 beat. That beat was amazing. Like, you know, you just felt it right away. And he had a hook idea on it. So we took it back maybe 2 months later. I was like, you know what, like I gotta find something for this. Like, me and Prep locked in an Airbnb and I recorded that song on the edge.
Everything appears to be getting worse for Drake every week. Drake's return to music with SSS For You is causing the album to post its lowest ever sales. Even though the Grammys and the Super Bowl were already embarrassing, the album has received so little streams that it will become the first Drake album without a single that even remotely reaches the top of the charts in the whole streaming era. Ultimately, Drake has come to the realization that his actual actions and influence are extremely small or non-existent now that Kendrick has won and is pushing everything since their feud, regardless of other artists. That's because his artistic career is at its lowest point ever. Drake just lost it and blasted out his most pointed jabs at Kendrick Lamar that we have seen in a long time during his current tour, apparently as a result of realizing that it might actually be over. Before we go any farther into Drake's actions this time, please remember to subscribe and like this post. Since they can't accept their favorite artist being washed, Drake's supporters are still criticizing everyone in this period of his poor performance. Of course, Drake is still looking for the most pitiful and subtly offensive ways to make fun of Kendrick Lamar, even though he has learned, at least on some level, that he will never again openly criticize him because it has destroyed him in a way that we have never witnessed. Drake felt he had done something against Kendrick when he referenced Not Like Us by name and made fun of the notion that dancers need dictionaries because he controls the rap genre as a whole in the lyrics of SSS For You. It's obvious that those lyrics didn't work and instead served to further degrade Drake's reputation because everyone who heard them laughed at him. Drake appears to be growing increasingly irate, especially at Kendrick Lamar, as he has reached a point where nothing he says or does is producing any results. This, along with the fact that GNX is already surpassing SSS For You's debut in every manner within months of its release, makes Drake appear to be more irate with Kendrick Lamar than he has ever been. Drake is now attempting to push the line as far as he can in order to criticize the current hip-hop king and have everyone know it, but not far enough to cause him to get any more criticism or diss records that would kill his career. I suppose that after taking so many blows, Drake has finally lost it in front of everyone about how much he hates Kendrick Lamar, especially now that he is dominating every aspect of hip-hop and music, and he has had to watch his role in all of this fall to an all-time low. When Drake begins to perform Energy during one of his recent shows during his It's All a Blur tour, amid all of the awkward antics like the smoking hoodie and whatever tough guy act you want to try and call it, Drake's performances are actually starting to look like reality television shows at this point. Everyone is coming with signs asking him for something, which has begun to get really weird in and of itself. But that's a whole discussion for another day. In fact, the last fan in the audience was not asking Drake for anything, but rather confirming his loser mentality by mocking Kendrick Lamar directly in front of his face with a sign that read, "Kendrick is a nobody." While one fan held up the placard, Drake was looking into the audience. He appeared to see the sign calling out Kendrick, and he did a second take to see if he was finally being validated. Drake then remarked, "That's fact," in front of the entire arena after examining the sign and taking everything in. And, I mean, this small but loud moment is just pure comedy, because although Drake has apparently been waiting for this opportunity to publicly say something like this about Kendrick, he also attempted to say it quickly, which again demonstrates how he's trying to get as close to disparaging Kendrick as possible and defending what's left of his career without ever really going overboard. However, when it comes to Drake's actions, even though he can have moments like these with his remaining fans on the other side of the globe, people still support him, which is largely due to the fact that they were never hip-hop or rap fans and were only Drake fans. This further illustrates how Drake distorted hip-hop culture in general, and why the beef between him and Kendrick was necessary for rap to advance in the first place. Given the state of music today, Drake has come to the realization that simply by witnessing his album fail so quickly after its release, and at that point, Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us and GNX, he will never again receive the respect he once did in the US, which is of course the birthplace of hip-hop and all of its major locations, as every important location in rap has been completely taken over by Team Kendrick. If you don't believe me, check out the charts. where Not Like Us is surpassing every new Drake album, and even Kendrick's older songs are getting more airplay than Drake's latest releases. Not only does Kendrick Lamar dominate the rap charts, but other artists like Tyler the Creator and Doja Cat are also in charge, in contrast to the environment that permitted Drake to get away with his usual antics. The society has been changing in front of our very eyes, and since Kendrick has revealed that rap is now more widely recognized than ever, we have witnessed a number of artists reach new heights. I don't want to hear from Drake fans about how Kendrick continues to perform songs like Not Like Us and Euphoria, because, especially after the Super Bowl, we've seen that both of those records have grown into much bigger moments than a rap beef could ever represent. This is especially true when Kendrick Lamar embarks on his grand national tour, and we witness him pushing live hip-hop performances to a new level. Drake spends a lot of his tour talking about moments like these, and he responds to the Kendrick Lamar beef in general with other embarrassing antics. This back and forth is also still occurring, but in a new form, as Drake continues to attempt to drag these records and alter their perception with his pitiful paperwork. Therefore, we should expect Drake to stay as far away from the renaissance that is beginning to emerge in rap music here as possible, because even he is realizing that it's really over for him and everything he used to get away with. Drake, with moments like these, has realized that he would be better off running away from Kendrick Lamar and the entire hip-hop region here as a whole, which, based on the reaction of his new album, which has been awful, and Not Like Us, reaching #1 there following the Super Bowl, may even include the 6 today. Seeing how Drake's downward spiral has brought him to this point, from the energy he had prior to this beef to actually fleeing from it all, is incredibly real. In particular, what is more telling than anything is that Drake is performing as the main act at Wireless Festival on all 3 of its nights. This indicates that Drake is once again making running away his new normal, and that he will continue to hide out and, let's face it, perform and participate in lower stakes events more often than ever before. Because when you consider the background, Drake's decision to play at an event for music 3 nights in a row is just another admission that he knows his career is over and will never be the same. Drake rejected the idea of performing at music festivals for as long as he could because he believed he was better than all of them combined, regardless of the festival. Drake's repeated rejections of Rolling Loud, who actually came up with the idea of him performing all 3 nights in a row in the first place, and his haste to do an event like this only serves to highlight how desperate he is to try and create moments where his career appears to be in a better place than we all currently see. But really, Drake's participation in this Wireless Fest seems to be a way of retaliating against Rolling Loud, because he took their original idea of him performing 3 nights with several distinct set lists in a row and is using it for one of his rivals here. This is especially true given that we are currently witnessing Dr. Dre embark on a petty tour, where he is attempting to exact revenge on those who have wronged him or who he feels have ruined him in some way. Drake would be working against them since, as we recall, Future and Metro gave a sneak peek at what was to come when they performed a live preview of Like That, which Travis Scott was also present and very thrilled about. And with all of this, we're at a point where Kendrick Lamar has not only won over the culture and demonstrated that he is the best hip-hop artist, but he is also dominating the charts and taking hip-hop to new heights. At the same time, Drake is essentially in hiding, trying to win back fans while also being extremely petty to everyone who has criticized him. This entire tour is a reaction to everything that Lamar has done and how that has affected his career in the places where he built it most. All things considered, we are witnessing the fallout from the feud between these two, and with albums, tours, and numbers, one is clearly winning in all 3 categories, while the other is not only losing, but not even close at the moment. As the full impact of the largest rivalry in rap begins to emerge, Drake needs to leave this place because his little jabs just serve to diminish his reputation. Drake is redefining the amount of money a musician can lose. Going ahead, Kendrick Lamar really doesn't need to say anything to him again, and Drake is still attempting to carry on this feud in a lot of ways. In reality, these moments and disses are just Drake confronting the reality that he has lost it. There's no avoiding it. Even if it were up to him, he would probably still prefer to bash Kendrick Lamar, because it benefits him far more than his own songs. All things considered, it appears that Drake will continue to on this loser's lap for a while to come, and he will not alter his behavior regardless of the outcome. Prepare to witness him engage in more and more of this behavior, thereby destroying his reputation and legacy. Having stated that, please let me know, What are your thoughts on Drake's most recent attempt to trash Kendrick Lamar? Do you believe this to be one of his worst? What are your thoughts on Drake moving as far away from Kendrick as possible and anything that occurs in the vicinity of him going forward? Do you believe that going this far and attempting to win back admirers in these other regions would ultimately benefit him? Or do you think it will ultimately backfire? I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this, so please leave a like and subscribe if you've watched the entire video. It really helps me out and is much needed now that these irate Drake fans don't want anyone to know the truth about him and hip-hop in general. Because of this, and because those first week numbers for SSS for You aren't looking good, if anything, they're looking pretty awful, and they're the biggest sign that everything is over. For that reason, and to see why Drake is still becoming increasingly irate with Kendrick Lamar overall at this point, watch the suggested video.